So, hello, welcome back. Um, so last time we had the problem with on creating that the model state is valid was always false. So I, of course, found the problem. So model state is valid, and now we just have I we just have on our model, because that's the model state, on our model view model over here, we just have to make the category list nullable. So, but we also need those declarations, those attributes, annotations, and put them here. That's the job title too long. And we need it using annotation. Now we need that for the job description too. Let's copy that. Job title, job description, and this one, how big did we make it? 500. So that's 500. We need here string empty, here too. Then here we just need actually no, the display name is fine, category ID, we just need that to pass over the ID number for over here. So that must be fine. So the next one, so now we can test our not here, just put it here. So now we can test our application again and see if the model state is valid. It's correct now. Did I hit? Yeah. It just needs time, I think, to compile. Yes. I don't know how clear you can hear me, but if somebody's here, just let me know. Job create. Let's say Java this time. Description: create and maintain software in Java. It's today. It's a software engineer and create. So we get in here. So model state is true, right? Yes. So now we can continue, and it's done. So now we're missing the edit buttons, details buttons, and delete buttons. Let's check if we have that in our category controller too. No, we don't have any of them. So we might start first to do that in our category controller first. So we have now a create a index to list them all, but we're missing the delete button, the edit button, and the details button. Let us go first with the details button. So we need now a public async task of iActionResult, and we call it details. And we pass here a int sid. Yes. And now return few for the moment, so we don't get an error. So we get the ID. Where do we get that ID? When we pass it from the view to the page over here. So let us click and let's think about how we do. So when we in here, yeah, I might need to do here something, but let's check. Yes. So we go to category over here. we have our list, and when we press details, you see down here on the left corner there is a number 1, that's 1, and that's 2. So on the details over here, the 1 and 2, you see here 1, 2, this is the number that we will pass over inside here. So we can do as follow. We go into the var, we need the category, and we need exactly that one. And that one is get by ID. That simple. And we need, we should have a view model, category view model. Here it is, category view model. So, and we convert this category like var model equals category dot select, and then we say new category view model, and then we pass. Why? What do you want? Oh, category select. Yes. Oh, wait. It's just one. It's not a list. So what we do now is var model equals new category view model, and we say category description equals category dot description and model. Yes, and we need to pass the ID just in case we need that ID, and it's category dot ID, like this, and we pass to the view the model. So that should be everything. We now add view. We say we need a razor view. It's a details page. The template, it's also details. The model we have is the category view model. It's over here, and we use the DB context application DB context, and we add that. And now should actually be. Yeah, that's it actually. Let's try and see. Now let's go to category. Here it is. Look, and details. Here it is. So simple. Now when we could hit edit, and we also, so how at first let me, how did we get over here? It's actually very simple. So in our controller, that's the category repository category controller, we're trying. So when we back to the list, when we hit details, when we get the number 1, that's the ID of the job entry, of the job description, of the job entry over here. So, and that's number 2, and so on. So the URL, from the URL, you're passing from the URL the integer over down here to here, and that's why we can get the category. So if I make a breakpoint over here and I try that again to reload, yeah, I have to go in here. So the ID is 1. So let's continue and check for the next one. Back to list, and now the ID over here, details, it's 2. So that's how it's working. So let us stop that. And that's this one. So, and now let's create the edit page. So how we do that? First of all, we need a public async task of I action result, and we call it edit, and that's it's also taking a ID. Yes, because we need the ID to display the exactly model we want to edit. So it's red because it's missing the return value. So we need exactly this one. We need that exactly one, and we also need we also will use the model and not the view model and not the model. So we're passing this one over here, and now we are returning, that's actually returning the view with a model, and now it's done. So we clicking, actually we have exactly this here, but not as a details page, as an edit page. So now we're going to try that. We will not be able to edit, but we will be able to display. We have no view for that, so just a second. We need to add a view. Where is a page? We say edit. We need a template for edit, and we have here the category view model add, and now it's generating, it's scaffolding for us the view. We also, yep, it's fine. So we here, that's the view. We can start now. Let's go into category controller and start application. And we're going to the category controller, that's over here. And now you can see on edit, we have the same entry 1, entry 2. Let's go and entry 2, and we could here write something, and here also, and save. But if when we hit save, there is no HTTP post method which is expecting exactly that, so it won't go. It's just reloading the same page. Like, look, I do that again and again and again. It's doing all the same. It's nothing to our application. We didn't prepare it to expect that. So we need to add here HTTP get, and over here we will say HTTP post, and then we need the same method again, and here we need to bind we need to bind the model. We have name and description, and the model is category view model as model. So now we're getting the ID, the same one over here. We bind the model, and we're passing over here. What are you screaming here? Expect. Do we? Yes. Now it's fine. So and then we return the view with the model. But now we need to update the database. So how we do that? We going and we will need the same here. Exactly. And but this time a bit simpler. It's like if is null, then return redirect to action redirect no action. Let's say return view with a model. Okay. Then if it's not null, we can say the other way around. The category dot name equals to model name and category description equals to model description. And then we say cat repo dot update. We pass here now the category and say thank you. And that's an await because the whole yes, it's everything async, yes. And now we return the view with a model. Yes. So let's try that. Let's modify an entry. So let's take this one, edit. Okay, we can now edit it. We are now inside the HTTP GET, so over here, because we press the button to edit. It's going to get the information. We getting the information and returning the retrieved information from the database and returning it over here so we can modify it. And we say it's IT department, let's call it IT consultant, and we say distribute our newly created software. So, and save. And now it's saved, and we could return. So on save, we did manage to get in here in the post method. Let me change something, and we don't say return view. We go back, redirect to action, and we say name of index. So again, let's try that. So we're going to get over here. We are going to edit the software engineer and say all jobs related to software engineering. Software engineer, let's say in C#. That's a category, and then we hit save and we return back over here and it's saved. So when we check our database now, so here is our database, our tables, and if we check the categories, view data, and here they are modified as we wanted. Very good. So the next one, it's delete. So that's working now with the same principle. We have two possibilities. When we hit, let this tell you, show you. So we have now two possibilities. When we hit delete over here, just to delete it, or to go to the site to display what we want to delete and get a confirmation. So let us do that. First of all, it's a HTTP get public async task of an iAction result, and we have delete. So here it needs the ID, what we want to delete. Where do I know that? Because when we going to push the button, oh, sorry, return view. Now, so when we're going to push that button over here, we say we could actually getting in here and automatically delete and redirect to the same page over here and just delete it. But we want to get to another page where we can say, hey, this is what you to show the details and say, do you want to delete it? And we say yes, and that's what we're gonna do. So the next one is HTTP post, and we say public async task of iAction result, and we call delete. So it's the same with ID, and now and then we return redirect direct to action, and the name of is index, not index, index. So index is this. I have to check this one. Give me a second. So where the index, the return, the redirect to action name of index, I get it from here, that index, and then it's getting in here, it retrieves all the data it needs and displaying the list. So now let us create a view, and we say delete, and it's the category view model add. So that's the CSHTML file. So here is displaying the description and the name, and here is the button for delete, and it will submit the value delete, and it is input. It's passing the ID from the delete form. So we just need the ID so we can retrieve the ID. Yes, let's try to do that. Yeah, we retrieve the category, and we need the model. Do we need that? No. We can now say, oh, we need to pass this one to the view. Yes, of course. Copy here, and we say model. So now, if we click the delete button, we will be redirected. So we will be shown the delete page. when we click delete, it's showing us this one. So if I press over here, it's, you see, it's nothing happened, nothing happens. But why? Oh, because it's deleting. Yes, of course. And how you can see, it's moving us in this post method. So let me show you. We are now in here, and if I press delete, we're getting in here, but we don't get any data. So we need that ID so we can have we can do know what to delete. So, and we get that data from delete from the ID. The ID is this one. That's the ID. Here is it. So let us try to do that. We get here an int ID, and we can bind that to the ID, and we have the model category view model as model. But easier, we can actually bind the real category like this, the ID, we can bind the name, and we can bind the description, and we just do it like this. And then in here we can say, very simple, if model is null, then redirect to here. Anyway, here. So, and also now we can say we get this model, and we can do await, and then get the repository and say delete, and we passing inside the model, because that's what we want to delete. Huh? Oh, I can just pass the ID. Very simple. Let's try that. But why did I done that? Do it like that. We have two deletes. That's why int model and oh, we don't have the model. We retrieve it. Okay, so we don't need the model. That's only on the job repository, isn't it? Yeah. Delete ID. Yeah, if we're passing just ID, which is fine. So we over here. Why are you screaming around? No, return. And then return and redirect to index again, because it's done. Name of index. So we don't need all that. We could just pass the ID, I think, like this. Yes, actually we could just do that, and then say model model.id. Let's see if it's working. Let us put a breakpoint over here and check that. If not, we will put the integer back in there. So category. So, and we want to delete IT consultant, no, the software engineer, and let's say we delete it. And we got in here. Do we have an ID? Yes, we have an ID, which is 1. You see? The model is actually empty because we don't send any information from the view. The view is here. So all this information which is here, we don't care. It's just here to be displayed, but not to be pushed, moved to um, the controller. And we passing through the input only the ID. On submitting, we passing just the ID over here. We could pass more, but it's clearly unnecessary. And also we don't need any of these ones over here. So that our binding model, it's fine now. Let's stop. And now let's try again. So we didn't delete it because I put a breakpoint here and stopped it. But the thing is, it's just we want to get over here to see the information we're retrieving. So delete, we get to the form where we can see what we're deleting, and here is the confirmation, and we press that, and we're getting it back over here. So the model, it's not null because there is actually something inside. We have in the model the ID 1, exactly what we pressed. Over here it's the same. So this ID, what we're passing with the ISP, with the ISP tags, and we're getting over here, and then if we let it run, it will be deleted. You see that? And we'll be redirected back to the index. So we could create now create a second one now, and let's say software engineer, and we say we want to all jobs related software engineering in C#, like this, and we create, and it's over here. So what we've done now is we created the whole controller, which is made to be for CRUD, so to save, to update, to read, and to delete. Now we need to move all the logic from the controller. It has to be moved away from the controller into a service. So how we do that now? So we create a service. We should have here, that's view, controller job, shared views, view models, repositories, and that's models, that's interfaces, and that's controllers. So we need now a new folder. Let's call it folder. Yes, let's call it services. Services. In this folder, we can create here. Let's create a new class and call it category service. Category service. So we have an empty class with a category service. So all the HTML files we do not need. That one neither. So next, we have now a service, a category service, and we need a constructor. So we need now our controller and go step by step to check everything we need to do. So over here we have our repository. We need to implement that repository. It's repository, and category, and it's int. And now let's say yes, it's repository we need only this one, and then create and assign a field. And now, what do we need here? Let's say to 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 display the index, we need a list of our um, categories, and we need to fill the category view model with that list and passing it to the view. So we need a method that returns exactly that, a enumerable of category view model. Let's do that. Public async task of an enumerable of a category view model. So, and we call the method get all async, because that's async. What do we return? Now we return the enumerable. Actually, we return exactly this here. All this logic, it's here. And this repository, it's this repository. Now, and we're returning return VM list. But we can shorten up that. Can we do that? Yeah, that might be like this. Copy. I remove this here and this here. So now over here we don't need this repo anymore because we're implementing a service, and also we don't need this anymore. So what do we do now? We have a category service. We call it service, and we add it over here, and we add the create and assign field. And instead of the list, we just return to the view and await of service dot get all async, and that's it. And it looks much cleaner now. So, and if you want to know what's all about, you just have to check the service. Of course, it's everything very small now, so that's why it's not much we do. You think you could have left the repository over there, it's just one, but in a bigger application, you will in the constructor, in the controller constructor, you won't have just one repository and you can work with that. You will have many other repositories implemented and other services, and then you don't do it in the category control in the controller itself. You just create a service which is doing all that for you, and over here in the category in service, you can even create a service for the service. So it will be it's getting more and more complicated, but we have a small application here we're trying to do. So, but it won't work even if we correct all this here. It won't work because we need in our program CS to register our service. Let's make a new region over here, call it services, and builder, and register our service, and it's called category service. Yes, and there we goes. Here we are. Now it's registered and it should work. So let's save that. We go back to our category service, and we go to our create. let's check. Create the HTTP post doesn't need anything. The get doesn't need anything. It's just empty form. But because we're getting over there, we need in create to turn over here, to check over here. So what we're doing is we still will have to check for the model state is valid, so we let that be. But on here we can say, hey, public async task. We do not return anything, but we create something, create, and we need to pass over the whatever we create. So what do we create? We create um, a new category. So but we don't get the model, we get the view model. So category view model as a model, and then we do exactly this here. Zack, copy that, and we're passing this over here, and we have here just a repository. We're creating that, and we say over here, hey, await service dot create, and we're passing the model, and that's it. So we're still checking for the model validation in here. And we go over here, and then it might work if I think, I'm not sure. So then we have the details page. We're doing that now. Public async task. Do we return something here? No, we yeah. Do we need to return a model or something? So let's check what we have to do over here. So we're getting an ID, yes, and we're returning a model of a category view model. So yes, we need to return a category view model, and we say details. We need over here an int as ID. So we can copy all this here, put it over here, and we say here repository get by ID, and we return the model. And here we can delete this and this. Just a second. And over here we say, hey, await service dot details, and we pass the ID over here. So nice, isn't it? So on the edit side we would do the same. So edit. So we have now two edits. The one, it's the HTTP GET, and the second one is the edit. So let's think about what we exactly have to do. One is the retrieving. So do we need to create now a separate method? No, because we can say here get by ID, get by get model by ID, and now we can do it over here, and then we can say exactly the same thing over here. So we do not repeat ourselves, and we have it. That simple. Now The same over here, public, we can now async task, and we edit the the category. So we passing a category view model as a model over here. We getting it from the ID, do we? Nope. So we're passing exactly that one, and we can do exactly this. So to do it better, we make it like this: ID, we delete this one. So, and then we take here over model.id, and we can do exactly this here, and we can say we need this here. We do not have this one. We update with the repository, and we returning the model. Wait a second. Oh no, we go back to index in here. So we can say await, because it has to do something, service.edit, and we're getting the model, and we're going back to the index. But what if it's the model empty? What do we do now? We just simply if model dot equals not null, it's doing exactly this. So we're going over here, but if and else return view with a model. So we're going back to the view because if it's empty. So that should be fine now. Now we delete. So we need now a public async task, and we say delete. We're getting an ID. Do we? Yes, an int as ID. We need get model by ID. Our model equals await by ID. And now we're returning a category view model. Very simple. We don't need all of this anymore. And here await service dot get model by ID. Exactly. But over here, if model is null, redirect to index, anyway it's redirecting to index. So to delete, we're getting the delete message, and we get await repository dot delete, and we pass the ID. We don't even have to, but we could check if we could go to the database over here and say, hey, listen, if ID is null, is not null, then do that. But yeah, else do nothing. So if model state is null, that's fine. And now you say service delete, and we pass the model ID. And now we have just some much less code in here, but we have our service which is taking care of all this. RG, we could move all these. Can I? Let's try something. Where is create? Nope, it's not working. Gotta check that. So we have our service. Of course, when you have more logic behind all that, you create a service for a service, like you create all this service. So you create this category service as a write and read from database, and then you implement that service into another service which has more logic behind all that, and all this information over here, it's always returning exactly on point what you need, not more and not less, so it can be extended and not need for modified. So solid. However, we done here very good. That's one thing. That's the category service. That's the category controller. Let's test it. Let's see if our service is working. Category. It's displaying. Can we create a new one? Let's say a new. I don't know. Support. IT support. All around support. Create, and it's done. Can we still modify it? All jobs in IT support. It's done. So if it's everything is working like expected. So what you screaming around here? Where is captured, possibly no reference return. Okay. So we can upload now. What did we do? Finished the category controller. We created a category service, and we added views for category. We managed to the bug where we had all model state is valid, always false. Got around the model edit is valid error. So here it is. Create a pull request. Do we do that? Yes, just create it. Okay. Issue, no issue, pull requests. No pull request. Oh, might be fine. Okay. So, that's it. We will do for the job controller the same, but that will be that we might make next time. So, thank you for checking and see you next time.